Who's there?
Doctor.
Doctor Who? Exactly. Oh, of course. It's time to pay. Cue review.
Knock knock. Oh, I've already done this joke before. Knock knock. Let's do it. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, Nick here, and welcome to my review of Doctor Who Series 10, Episode 4, Knock Knock. Or rather, the Revisitation review. So, Knock Knock, this is the first episode that I'm re-reviewing as part of these Revisitation reviews, that my opinion of it has actually changed a little bit. This one is the first one to go up in opinion from before. Previously, it was a 9 out of 10. This has actually gone up in opinion, and it's also gone up on the ranking, but more on that later. The plot of Knock Knock sees Bill Potts moving into a new house with 5 other students, her friend Shireen, and another girl called Felicity, and 3 boys called Harry, Colin, and Pavel, respectively. So there's 6 of them total in a house, and there's 3 boys, 3 girls, which is fantastic equality, 50-50. And after trying out a few places, they are invited by this kindly landlord, played by David Suchet, to go to this house, which has a tower in it, with Pavel moving in that night and then the others moving in the next day. However, this house isn't as it seems. It's not all it seems, as mysterious things start to happen. When Bill and the other students move into the house, they start to experience some strange things going on, such as creaky floorboards and creaks in the walls, and there's some creepy stuff going on, and there's this creepy sense about the house, but it's still a great house. It's the perfect house for these students. So yeah, there's a few issues that they want to talk to the landlord about, but all the house is pretty great until you realize that there are alien woodlice living in the walls of the house, and they are taking the life force energy of young people, students, and feeding this energy back to the landlord's daughter, Eliza, who has been turned into wood to be saved from a uncurable disease by these alien woodlice around 70 years or so prior to the events of this story taking place. So, yeah, that's basically the plot of this story. Bill and her friends move into a house. The house has alien woodlice that to kidnap or tries to kill young people to give the energy to Eliza, the daughter of the landlord. Oh yeah, and the Doctor's in this. Don't worry, this is not a Doctor-like story. Though, disappointingly, Nardole doesn't really get much to do in this episode. Considering it's set on Earth in the present day, he's just in the final scene at the end, and that's about it, and also contributes to the Vault stuff. This episode doesn't really need that final bit at the end, but it's there for the story arc and to have the series arc, and for not at least the first series arc of the series, because there's technically 2, and also to have Nardole's appearance in the story. But the main focus on this story is the Dr. Bill and Bill's friends, maybe not so much Pavel, as he gets taken at the start of the episode mostly, but Bill and her friends experiencing this house and getting to live there. And yeah, like I said, it's a great place to live for them until the killing, or at least the taking of the young people starts to happen. And it's a really great, creepy episode with all this creepy stuff happening, but yet it's also really fun with the kids and the students interacting with each other, including Bill, and with the Doctor, who does attempts to make himself down with cool with the kids. That is kind of a bit of a kind of a little bit, maybe a little bit cringy. I mean, I wasn't too bad. I didn't find it too bad, but it is going back to that series 9 12th Doctor rather than the series 10 12th Doctor we were having over the last couple of episodes. But that was just for a few seconds. He's fine. The rest of the episode, it's just that one bit. He was just trying to be down with the kids and all, in that one bit with the music. But yeah, it's still pretty cool for the Doctor to hang out with the kids, even so long as he doesn't go too much down with the kids and all that, as they try to make him in series 9, with Doctor Disco and stuff. But it's not too bad. It's just maybe one or two little bits, but it's not too cringy. But if anyone does cringe, I don't really blame them. But yeah, it's not too bad. So yeah, it's pretty great seeing the characters interact with each other and these really spooky, creepy stuff going on. It's a pretty scary episode and really builds up the tension. This is the first proper horror episode of the series, and it's probably the first proper horror episode since Sleep No More. And it's a really great one. It's really great. It gives me some Hyde vibes, where it's really spooky, creepy, and scary, haunted house sort of vibes. But with these aliens in the wall, I think, have we done aliens in the wall before? I'm not entirely sure. I mean, Smile did sort of technically have the walls made out of robots, but this is aliens in the wall. I think we have done this before, but I can't quite remember exactly. But it's a really good and interesting idea, and the way it's done was really cool. I also like the twist. When I said in the last review with Thin Ice, I was expecting other episodes to not have such great climaxes, that climaxes were going to be, and endings were going to be series 10, one of series 10's weaker elements. I was actually thinking of this episode as one of them. Not the only one. Line of the Land's got a really bad one coming up, but this, when I was thinking of weaker endings of a series 10 episodes, I was actually thinking this one as one of the examples. But actually rewatching it is actually a pretty good climax, come to think of it. I mean, it probably wouldn't say it's the best one of the series, but it's a good one, where the Doctor agrees to help Eliza, and then he realizes Eliza's not the landlord's daughter, she's his mother, and he's been doing this for like 70 years or so, of course, as they say, and he's trying to help Eliza regain her memories of what happened. And to be honest, the landlord is a really sympathetic villain, because he's trying to say, well, initially he says it's his daughter, but later his mother. You can kind of understand that, and there is a little bit of personality in him later towards the end that does show that he hasn't truly grown up completely, not really. But he also stays a bad one. He stays a villain throughout the story. So yeah, he's a really great villain, but also a really sympathetic one. And David Suchet is fucking fantastic in the role. He's just fantastic. He's probably the best guest star of the series so far, I would say. At this point in time, he's the best guest actor of the series in the role of the landlord, who is probably my favourite villain of the series so far, and he probably will stay that way for a bit. I don't know if I can count Eliza as a proper villain. I don't even know if I can count her as an ally either. I suppose maybe she starts off like kind of a sort of villain, but by association, who then turns against her son and does what the Doctor asks and thanks him for being freed by them, as well as also being able to control the woodlice alien creatures that are living in the wall, who seem to, by the way, have multiplied from the time when the landlord as a boy found them. So I guess they just multiplied as you do. I'm not sure what the biology of these aliens is. They didn't actually have a proper name. The Doctor comes up with a name to call them, but we didn't really learn much more about these creatures. Maybe this is something to explore in a later episode. Maybe if Mike Bartlett, who is the first guest writer of this series who hasn't written for the show before, and I think he's the only one. He's the first and only new writer of the show, and yeah, it'd be great to see him come back and do another script at some point. Series 13, maybe. Probably not, because there's only going to be 8 episodes. Series 14, maybe. But yeah, Bartlett does a really great job with the story, and yeah, I think the characters are all great, both the landlord and Eliza, and also the other five students. Okay, Pavel doesn't really do that much; he's not that interesting, but the other four are pretty good with some funner interactions. I thought Shireen was a great character, and Harry was pretty fun as well. Funny enough, he was played by an actor from a show that I watched when I was younger called Hounded with Rufus Hound and Colin McFarlane, both of whom appeared in the last series in guest roles. Also, fun fact: Harry was initially going to be the grandson of Harry Sullivan from the Tom Baker era. He was going to be. He's going to. There was going to be a line saying that he was named after one of his grandfathers. He mentions another grandfather in the episode who has a boyfriend, and they were in China. But there might have been another line saying that he was named after another grandfather who was a medical officer in the Navy, which would have been Harry Sullivan from season 12 and season 13 of the classic series, and companion of the Fourth Doctor, played by the lovely Ian Martin. However, that line got removed, and I don't know whether the other bit about the other grandfather line was going to be in the script anyway, or if that was a replacement line. Also, fun fact about Harry, he's the only of these characters who ever pops up in another expanded media story, to my knowledge. In the Doctor Who Annual 2018, one of the comic stories in that one has Harry help out, I think, the Doctor and Nardole, I think. Yeah, I think he helps out the Doctor and Nardole, and it must be some point after Knock Knock, so because they know him. So yeah, this is, as far as I'm aware, Harry's the only one who's popped up in an expanded media story in a Doctor Who Annual comic story. It counts as expanded media. Felicity and Colin don't really get as much to do, but they're still pretty good characters. I like Felicity having this kind of a claustrophobic, can't be closed up tight spaces sort of thing. She can't be trapped, so she needs to go outside, which is ultimately her undoing in this episode. She gets caught before Shireen and Harry, maybe even Colin. No, after Colin. Colin, he tries to hit on Bill, but ultimately he's unsuccessful, and Bill does have to let him know that she's not into men. Which, by the way, this is the first mention since the pilot that Bill has said that she's not into men, that she's into girls. So again, she's not saying, by the way, I'm gay every other couple of sentences. This is the first time in 3 episodes. And even then, it's not so much to remind the audience, it's to let this guy who's hitting on her know. It's like if a gay guy tried to hit on me, and then I had to say, "Oh, sorry, mate, I'm heterosexual, I'm straight, I'm into girls." It's like that. So again, we're not being constantly reminded of Bill being gay or anything. It's just letting this guy know who's trying to hit on her that she's not into guys, and it's the first time of her saying such a thing in 3 episodes. So yeah. Like I said in the pilot review, Bill's personality is not just her going, by the way, I'm gay every other couple sentences or every other couple minutes. There is so much more to her character than that. Yeah, her being gay contributes to that, but there is so much more to the character than that. I won't say that the student characters are 100% interesting. They're not the most groundbreaking or the most fleshed out characters, but for this episode, they're fun, enjoyable, and great to see on screen, and they have a pretty good screen presence. Pavel's kind of the exception, but he is the first victim, so he can be let off for that. I will say this: when they're all running out the house, whilst I think it's nice for Eliza to let them all go, these kids aren't the first ones who are being taken. Other ones have been taken, but those ones won't be restored because it's been several decades for each one, 20, 40, 60 years or so. But these ones can be let go because they've all been taken within the last 24 to 48 hours, so they can all be released. The only kind of issue I have with this bit is that when they are coming back together, it is kind of a bit disjointed of when they're coming in. Yeah, they can come in at different points of the house. So, like, you've got Pavel and Colin in the corridor, and Felicity's outside because that's when she was taken. But then Harry just runs in from the side to say, "Oh yeah, they're all okay." When Harry was inside the house, maybe he could have come up the staircase to join them, and then out the door, and then Felicity's there, and then everybody's out. But that's more of a direction, staging kind of issue rather than a script one. By the way, the directing is pretty great with this episode. It's directed really well by Bill Richardson. Some amazing shots. It's not spectacularly visual like some of the last episodes, but it's a nicely shot episode. and it's also really handled greatly. Some great editing, and it looks pretty great. And of course, the brilliance of making it a pretty scary house. Not to mention the prosthetics on when Pavel's in the wall. That was brilliant prosthetics. Some really great stuff, and the wood-like creatures look pretty great as well. So some good CG there, and the house looks pretty cool as well. That would be a great house to live in, and a great student house. It's just a shame it gets crumbled to the floor later. All the wood-lights have had it crumble to the floor. Oh, that's a shame. It was pretty nice. And now they've got to go and find another flat. Bill moves back in with her foster mother by the time Extremis runs around. And then, yeah, I guess everybody else had to find another flat or something. Or house, something. That Pavel said he was being kicked out of his hall, so he would have to move in with someone as a temporary measure. So, yeah, that's a shame. So, Knock Knock. This was a brilliant episode. Really great characters, great horror, great atmosphere, brilliantly directed, brilliantly scripted, and just a ton of fun. Oh, and Pete Capaldi and Pearl Mackie, brilliant as usual. Brilliant stuff. And also a nice final scene at the end with the vault. So we're getting closer to finding out who's in the vault. Stay tuned. But Knock Knock, I will be giving a well-deserved 10 out of 10. Yep, this has gone up from my previous reviews score of 9 out of 10, and I was still initially going to keep it as a 9 out of 10, but then I decided, fuck it, 10 out of 10. It is a fantastic episode. It's not the best of the series, but it's definitely potentially top 3. Currently it's top 3 material, so yeah, expect this one pretty high on the Series 10 ranking at the very least. And these episodes just keep getting better and better. So, thank you for watching this review of Knock Knock. Next time, Oxygen, which is probably the most popular episode of this series, this or the finale. And if that's the case, then I'm inclined to agree. Oxygen and the finale, they're the best 2 stories of the series at the current time. Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye. Don't forget to click below to subscribe to the Nicholas Payne YouTube channel. I think originally, but her friend Shireen, her friend Shavine, and as Pavel realizes once things start going. When the other students move into the flat, including Bill, oh yes, and the doctor's in this. Don't worry, the doctor is not in. In good news, all of them do get out alive. In bad news, I'll get it. The bad news is, I think it. Oh, hang on, I'll get onto that later. Actually, I think that's supposed to be a horror. The episode. I think will have elements of horror in it. It is found footage, and horror is the genre that found footage is usually the subgenre of, although it can be a subgenre in other genres such as sci-fi. But yeah, I think this is the first bins. I think this is the first proper I think this is the first horror story since Sleep No More. Not the only one. Live the left, and I can sympathise with. Although there will be a writer from the classic series, and I think he's the only one. He's the first new Rano. And yeah, he also, fun fact: Harry turns out, if it's canon, it counts as expanded media. So it's not exactly like she's saying that. Maybe less maybe not as. It's like. So please, can we not? So those people who, and it's the first time of such a of her saying such a thing in 3 episodes. Or do you want me to bring in David Tennant so he can keep going so much more in your faces? By the way, to go people who aren't saying that her being gay is just her character, I apologise for that little rant. It's just some people are still ignorant about it. And people are going to just get even more ignorant as we're going into the next couple of series with other certain elements. I'm really beating myself up over this. I can't beat up anybody else, so yes, self-inflicting. So I'm beating myself a lot over this, but I can't really beat anybody else up over it, so I have to self-inflict it. Okay, that was a joke. That was a joke. Don't take that literally. It does hurt. I won't say that the kid... Pavel's the kind of the only exception, but he's the first one to just... She probably wouldn't be, because this isn't the first time these kids are. So, yeah, but for the ones for this time round, they can all be set free because they've all been taken within the last 24-ish hours, 24 to 30, 36 hours. The last 24 to... But these, and also when the flats I might even have given it... I think I gave it a 9 in the original review. It might have been an 8. It should have been a 9. It definitely was a 9 on the projected rewatch list prior to rewatch. But before doing... But then... So that's it from Knock Knock. Tune in next time. And I'm inclined to agree. This one... And I'm inclined to... And if that's the case, then I'm inclined... So stay tuned for my... So stay tuned for my positive review / revisit. So stay tuned for my positive revisitations review of Knock Knock, the 5th episode of Doctor Who Series 10.